Thank you for your introduction. My name is Steve, and I would like to speak with you about buying local. Buying local can produce some very good personal as well as environmental benefits. Some of the personal benefits that can come about from buying local are that the foods that you can buy from your local farmers are generally fresher and of a better quality than what you would normally buy in the store. You never know how long the foods that you're going to buy at the grocery store have been sitting on the shelf. Some of those foods have actually been transported upwards of 1,500 miles by the time they reach your freezer or your refrigerator at home. So you never know when it was that they were picked and processed and shipped out to you. You also don't know how long the stuff has actually been sitting on the shelf in the store. Some of those things could have been sitting there for a while before you get there to get them. They generally are supposed to rotate their stock, but that doesn't tell you how long it's actually been sitting there before you get to it and purchase it yourself. Another personal benefit is that it can generally be cheaper to purchase stuff from a local farmer, local vendor, whatever, what have you, farmers markets. There are no transportation or packaging fees because when you purchase stuff locally, it's generally brought directly from the place of business or the farm by the person who owns the place. Another one is that you can actually speak with the farmer. You can talk to them, find out what kinds of methods that they generally use in order to produce whatever it is that you're purchasing. And you can decide from there, if you're trying to go green, whether or not that is the type of process that you wish to support, and you can move on to somebody else if it is not. Another personal benefit is that it can help support your local businesses, your local farmers, some of those businesses that are winding up going out of business as a result of some of the more major chain stores and the larger farms out there that are mass producing products and produce. And it also supports the local economy. It actually puts the money directly into the economy in the area in which you live. Now that I've told you about some of the personal benefits, I'm going to talk to you about some of the environmental issues to go along with going green by purchasing local as opposed to purchasing from some of the larger chain stores. Transporting the goods can produce a lot of pollution from the emissions, and it also utilizes fossil fuels in order to transport the goods across country, from state to state, and from outside the country as well. There's also a lot of fossil fuels and emissions that are generated by the processing and packaging of the groceries that you can buy at the stores. The canning processes, freezing, and packaging in those areas. The paper and plastic that is used to package these products can oftentimes be difficult and sometimes impossible to recycle. This causes more solid waste that winds up being buried into the ground, which can harm the environment later on and cause problems for future generations as well. Buying local can reduce all these fossil fuel emissions and the use of the fossil fuels as well. Because when you're buying local, it's not being transported, it's not being processed, it's not being packaged. It's coming directly from the farm to you. One study found that in the state of Iowa alone, a 10% increase of local purchasing from local farms, just in that state alone, could decrease the fossil fuel use by 280,000 to 346,000 gallons of fossil fuels. It could also reduce the CO emissions by approximately 6.7 to 7.9 million pounds of CO2 per year. The mass production farms are also not that concerned about what chemicals they use to help process and protect the products that they're growing. The local farmers are a little more selective about what they use. They have to make sure that the land that they're using can be sustainable for future years. That's their livelihood. They have to make sure that they can continue to grow crops in those farms for themselves and for their children when they pass those farms on to them. They're also more likely to try to protect the wetlands and the other environmental areas around their farms, because it all goes hand in hand with producing a good product and a good crop for the local patrons. Now that I've talked to you about buying local, Kate is going to talk to you about ways to conserve energy.